Hey guys, welcome back to another Rest, Eat, Move podcast. Again, it's Matt in the studio solo. Probably one of my sneaky favorite topics is to talk about the connection between the food we eat and the mood we have. Or a better way to think about it is, how does the food we eat impact our brain? And so today we're going to talk about food and mood, and I'm going to get into why what we eat impacts how we think, how we feel, maybe how we manage stress and how that impacts the food we eat and all that connection. So today, when we think about our mental health, when we think about our mood in general as a society, it's not very good. Anxiety is at an all-time high. The amount of people on SSRIs and antidepressant medications or medications to help with depression are at an all-time high. You know, one of the most amazing, alarming stats is SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which help to balance out our neurotransmitters, specifically serotonin. We now know they're as effective as a sugar pill or placebo. And so we're really not getting much benefit or results from these medications, yet mental health has never been worse. And I'm going to make the argument today that our food that we eat has a bigger impact on our mental health than we ever thought. And it's time for us to kind of look at that as the source and solution versus, maybe it has an impact. It definitely has an impact on our mood and on our mental health. So as we kind of set the stage, when we think about our typical American diet, processed foods, energy drinks, caffeine, tons of stress, eating on the go. I talk to my wife on a daily basis. People at her work don't even have time to eat lunch. You're eating at your desk while you're typing, while you're texting. It's just not how we're designed to consume food. And so after 10, 15, 20 years, the body starts to change and your gut microbiome starts to change and your gut health changes. And many people are not having the resources they need to have good mental health. And so food impacts mood. And then we talk about brain inflammation and the role with inflammation on our gut health and inflammation on our brain health. And imagine having an inflamed brain on a consistent basis. It's going to be really hard to feel your best mentally. So I have two mindsets. We're going to break these down. First mindset is we need to look at fuel for happiness. So when I talk about nutrition and when I think about food, it's much more than looking at our food target and saying, let's eat as best we can. But I do like to look at food as fuel. I like to look at it as this is how we fuel our body. This is how we fuel our mind. But we know food is more than just fuel. I think food can be medicine. So when we think about SSRIs are not as any more impactful than a sugar pill, I think food can be the most impactful. I think food can be the most powerful medicine. The problem is it takes a lot more time. Other thing is I think food is love. It's social. It's what connects us. And so I think you can actually have a relationship with food that's too much about fuel. It's too strict. It's too restrictive. That can cause some other mood or mental health issues. So I think it's a balancing act. Food is information, food is medicine, but food is also love. And so mindset number one is fuel for happiness. And we're going to think about slow, long-term fuel versus short or fast fuel. So when you think about that and say, okay, I'm going to fuel my body for happiness. Well, that's a pretty interesting concept. I personally have never thought about it necessarily as fuel for happiness. I don't think we can shortcut happiness. I think happiness is a definition. You got joy and some other things, but food can create happiness. So here's the 4 ways to do it. Number one, we have to think about quality first. So if we're going to fuel the body, if we're going to fuel the mind, if we're going to fuel our car, it's all about quality. And so when you think about when we created the food target, the point of the food target is to make upgrades. If you like bread, how do you get a better bread? If you like chips, how do you get a better chip? If you're consuming coffee, how do you make that coffee healthier? And so before we give up or count calories or restrict, we're going to focus on quality. We're going to focus on making those upgrades. Number 2 is food gives us energy. So if I'm thinking I want to be in a good mood, I want to be happy, I want to be smiling, I want to feel good about what's going on, I have to have energy. And so if we don't have the appropriate amount of energy, which food gives us energy, it's going to be really hard for us to have a good, healthy mind. It's going to be really hard for us to be in a good mood. Some people call that being hangry, but I would say a lot of people that actually consume food get that quick release of fuel, and then later on just don't feel very good. You know, for me, I love Thanksgiving, but if I overdo it, if I just consume the wrong food, even though I'm around friends and family and watching the Lions hopefully win, after a while, I just don't feel very good. My mood starts to suffer because of that. And so the energy is a big deal when it comes to health and happiness. Third, we have to eat the rainbow. When you think about antioxidants really help with oxidative stress. They help with inflammation. They help clean out a lot of the junk in the body. We have to eat the rainbow. And so another thing that I see circling the internet is that we should eat just a carnivore diet, just eat meat. Well, one of the mistakes with a carnivore diet are just protein, and proteins are a big role in serotonin production. But we forget there's some other mechanisms that happen in the body. Oxidation happens for everybody. And one of the ways to remove these oxidative stressors or free radicals are antioxidants. Most antioxidants come from carbohydrates or plants, specifically colorful fruits and vegetables. So we have to eat the rainbow. Eating the rainbow is going to allow us to kind of create these antioxidants, these phytochemicals in the body that really promote the diversity of gut bacteria, probiotics that lead to that healthy brain. And number 4 is we have to hydrate well. We have to have those nutrients flowing throughout the body. Hydration is a great vehicle for that. It's also a great vehicle to flush out these toxins. And these toxins can lead to whether it's leaky gut or your mitochondria function or cell membrane. All these things matter when it comes to our health. And so number 1 is we're going to think about fuel for happiness. And so every meal that you consume is an opportunity to fuel your happiness. I want you to think that way. And so when you're going to grab lunch and you're thinking, what do I have to do the rest of the day? Whether it's work, maybe I have a date night with my spouse, or I have an important event, or I'm catching my kid's game, whatever it is, I want you to think about the mood that you want, the energy that you want. And so if we can fuel for happiness, we start to think about the long game versus the short game. I'm just like anyone else. I go to lunch, I'm really hungry. It's going to sound good to maybe have a cheeseburger and french fries. But if I'm thinking about the afternoon and I'm thinking about the rest of the day and the mood and the energy that I need to have, I might consume something different for the effect down the road. And so fueling for happiness is an important concept. Mindset number 1. Mindset number 2 is the gut-brain connection, and this is where the science comes in. Now, food is medicine, food is information, food is love. But let's break down these 3 macronutrients. And then you got the micronutrients, the vitamins and the minerals. Carbs. Think of carbs as energy and brain health. So if you want to have good energy, good brain health, you're going to need high quality carbohydrates. Again, it's not about the processed carbohydrates, it's about the complex, one ingredient source carbohydrates. Proteins are really impactful for our energy, they're really impactful for our muscle, they're really impactful for our brain and repair and growth. But we can't just overconsume protein, and we can't just only consume protein, and quality matters with protein. And then number 3, fats. Fats can play a big, huge role with our mood, specifically regulating the inflammation. And that inflammation can lead to some other downstream effects that impact the mood. Think about brain inflammation. If we have chronic brain inflammation, if we just feel foggy, if we have this leaky gut that's leading to this inflammatory response. That's where healthy fats, specifically those omega-3s, can really regulate that inflammation. But I think the key piece is when you think about gut health and brain health and the connection between the two, here's how it works. If you have good gut health, good microbiome, it communicates really well with the brain. It creates these neurotransmitters. Most people don't realize is many of these neurotransmitters are created in the gut. 90% of serotonin is created in your digestive tract. And so if you have bad digestion, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammation, it's going to lead to a connection or a bad connection to the brain. If you're having diarrhea, you will not have good brain health. Or if your digestion isn't where you want it to go, it's going to be hard for you to focus, ADHD. And so the connection to the brain and the gut is so important, and we know this more than ever before. One way I like to think about it is acid equals inflammation. Now, we talked about inflammation several podcasts ago, and we went deeper into it, but a simple way when you're thinking, what do I need to do to improve gut health that supports brain health? Number one is understand that if we're too acidic, we're going to have inflammation. If we're too acidic, we're going to have poor brain health because of that inflammation. So one leads to the other. So if we have good gut health, we then have a good immune system, or we can control the inflammation, which then leads to good brain health. So gut health to brain health, they go back and forth. And so one of the best ways that we can improve or mitigate inflammation is using the food target, improving quality, eating the rainbow. Omega-3 fats help reduce that inflammation. And then we talk about gut biotics, probiotics, prebiotics, or symbiotics, which are both. And when you start to break these down, you start to realize, oh my gosh, I never thought about the connection. I hear about prebiotics, I hear about probiotics, but I didn't connect the dots between brain health. Or I've heard of this leaky gut. This leaky gut is when the digestive tract has these porises and they open up and nutrients start to leak out, or you start to have that inflammation create havoc, and then these neurotransmitters are not regulated properly. Well, your gut biotics, most pre and probiotics, are carbohydrates. And so one of the greatest charts that we have to help you understand this gut health is our gut biotics chart. So I would recommend going to our website, going to downloads. There's two charts, the food target. Many of you are familiar with this, trying to eat towards the center of the target. And then the other handout is our gut biotics chart, talking about probiotics, prebiotics, symbiotics. Let's list some of these. So a probiotic is the live beneficial bacteria. This is what's going to feed your good gut health. These are things like sauerkraut, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, miso, yogurt, kefir, some cheeses, kombucha, kimchi, pickles, lemons, limes, citrus fruits. Anything like this are going to be probiotics. I don't recommend a probiotic supplement because we can get these from food. And then you go into prebiotics. These are the fibrous foods that feed good bacteria. So the live beneficial bacteria feed the body, but what feeds the good bacteria? Bananas, onions, garlic, leeks, ginger, apples, barley, oats, grains, chia seeds, flax seeds, potatoes. Potatoes are one of the most amazing carbohydrates for brain health. And so you have prebiotics, you have probiotics, and then you have symbiotics. Symbiotics are an apple. It does both. Honey, seaweed, algae, coconut, cacao, sourdough. You know, the craze about sourdough, one of the benefits is it's the pre and probiotic. It's really actually very beneficial, and it helps you break down that gluten a lot easier. So two handouts, food target, gut biotics chart. These are great resources for that connection between the gut and the brain. But the last thing, and I think this gets overlooked, is the impact of stress and how it impacts food. So let me give you an example. You're just anxious about something. You're nervous about something. Something's on your mind. How are you thinking about food? What's your relationship with food in that state? Think about the last time you were so nervous that you couldn't eat, or your stomach hurt, or you had to run to the bathroom several times to kind of flush out the body. If we're in this state of fight or flight, if we're in this state of stress, it shuts down digestion. And so, just like gut health leads to good brain health, if we're having bad brain health, or we're so anxious, or we're so stressed, or we're just go, it leads to bad gut health. It leads to leaky gut. It leads to inflammation. It starts to change your gut microbiome. And so this connection goes both ways. And I think this is one of the mistakes I'm talking about food and mood. Well, rest and digest is also a thing. If you're not able to rest, be clear, manage stress, you cannot digest. And so Digestion 101 or Gut Health 101 is we need to digest and absorb food. We have to balance stress. We have to eat the right foods. And this, in my opinion, is a perfect harmony to get that mood in a better state. Or you think of things like GABA or some of these supplements or some of these miracles that help you calm the brain. These are just nutrients that the body needs to create these mechanisms. And the way we do that is we balance our gut health and we regulate stress. Here's 3 killers of bad gut health that lead to poor brain health. And then I'll wrap this up with a couple thoughts. Number 1, this is a killer for gut health, which leads to bad brain health: energy drinks. I'm seeing these all over the place. Different marketing, different demographics, different benefits. Sure, they're going to give you energy. They might give you a boost in the gym. They might take you from one meeting to the next, but what they're doing is they're killing your gut health. So you're going to either need more, or even more isn't going to give you the impact mentally. Matt, I have great energy for a couple minutes, but I don't feel very good. I feel depressed, or I feel kind of like anxious, or my brain's all over the place. Energy drinks are the most acidic food or beverage that you can put in the body, which leads to inflammation long term, and so cutting out these energy drinks. Number 2, processed foods. These processed sugars, dyes, artificial sweeteners, and ingredients. Looking at the food target and say, I got to clean out these acidic foods, improve my alkalinity so I lower my inflammation. And the last thing is we're consuming more calories than ever before, but we're missing nutrients. What nutrients are we missing? Here's a couple key nutrients we're missing. Number 1, we're missing omega-3 fats. Man, I eat a lot. I maybe don't eat enough. You're probably not getting enough omega-3s. These help regulate your inflammation. They help control the health of your cells. They're really good for digestion and elimination. Those are some nutrients. Chlorophyll, anything with the color green, this is chlorophyll. It's going to help you with energy. It's going to help you detoxify. It's like scrubbing bubbles for your digestive tract. That's another nutrient that we're missing. And the third nutrient we're missing is magnesium. It's so easy to not eat foods with magnesium. It's very easy through medications and stress and processed food to leach out magnesium. And so think about chia seeds, dates, raisins, figs. These are high sources of magnesium, bananas, cacao, and this magnesium really relaxes the body. So the 3 killers: cut out energy drinks. This is why we need to improve food quality, processed foods, and then we're not getting some nutrients. And so missing these nutrients are going to lead to poor gut health. And so as I started today, we have to fuel our happiness. Every opportunity that we eat is an opportunity to feel better mentally, because the food we eat leads to our gut health, and our gut health leads to our brain health. And the last thing, and we can't overlook this, if you're not managing stress, if you're starting to have digestive issues, it might be an opportunity to look at your stress. Not managing stress will lead to these digestive issues. We now know it in the science. Rest and digest has to happen together. It's fight or flight. It's not fight and digest. It's rest and digest. And so 2 mindsets: fuel for happiness and the gut-brain connection. We'll see you again next time.